Hey everyone, this is Michael for Spirit Comics. Welcome to my channel. This will be my review of Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man #1 from Marvel Comics. If you're new here, please subscribe and don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss any new uploads. Also, if you enjoy this video or any of my other videos on my channel, please drop them a like and share them around. I really would appreciate that. And I want to thank everyone who has subscribed to my channel lately and who's been leaving comments on my videos. I really do appreciate that. Now let's get into this comic. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man #1 came out January 2019. And I really loved the cover. This very cover caught my attention. That's very important with a comic book. You must have a good cover and a good story. Anyway, it begins with Peter Parker narrating in his New York Liberty Island. He's talking about what it's like to be scared, frozen in fear. And he introduces himself. Even though we know who he is, I think that's important. Introduce your characters. So he saves this family. I mean, look at this van going over the rail, I guess, and it was about to, fall until it was caught by Spider-Man. And there's a father and a daughter. And he catches the van while it's falling. This is a good opening to a Spider-Man story. And he gets him to safety. That's him. That's who Spider-Man is. And then there's a cute moment. He catches the little girl and says, "It's okay, kid. You're going to be." She says, "Ah, squish." And then Dad says, "Oh my God, thank you. I'm sorry. Jody tried to squish you." And Spider-Man says, "It's all good. To be fair, I don't exactly have the most kid-friendly costume. It literally has a spider on it." And he says, "Here," and hands money to Spider-Man. He's really shocked by this, because in all his illustrious career, the only time he ever earned money was at the beginning, if I recall correctly, when he did that variety show, and he didn't. And that was like, decades ago, when he just had gotten his powers. And he says, superheroes don't really accept tips. He says, "Please, we have more than enough." Then he gives a really good response, something I think is just wonderful. He says, "I'll tell you what, there are 3 good people camping out on the corner of 3rd and Bowery. Jose and Gracie are vets. Miguel had troubles at home. You want to pay me back? Give them as much as you can spare." And the dad says, "I will. Thank you." Now, I think that was just a really good scene. And he says he was that a moving truck. Yeah, we were moving. I guess still are, but with less stuff. He says, where? Just over the road there, actually. And I believe this is Spider-Man giving traffic directions, because he says, okay, that's one way to beat the traffic, but I'd suggest next time you're better off taking the tunnel. Taking the tunnel is also a better option than crashing through a concrete barrier, falling 100 feet, and landing in a twisted pile of metal, rubble, and fire. Unless it's rush hour, in which case it's a pretty comparable experience. And he says, welcome to the neighborhood. Thanks, Spider-Man. And then the little girl says, you will be squished. And Spider-Man thinks to himself, yeah, I probably will be. That's just a really great way to open up this book. And then I find out some stuff that I did not know, because I have not been reading Spider-Man that closely for a while. He goes to his apartment building, because I'm guessing he no longer lives with Aunt May. Although a gray-haired old lady does manage the building. And he has some... he has a conversation with her. She says, Peter, I almost thought you weren't going to show. I live here, Marine. I was always going to show. But yes, I remembered you'd be done with your shopping by 12, and I didn't like letting people down. She says, really? Aren't you a national disgrace? He says, yeah, on and off. Now that caught me off guard, because I had no clue. Now, here it says, Peter recently lost his job because of a plagiarism charge that is mostly untrue. Check out Amazing Spider-Man. Nick. So I'm guessing that's Nick Spencer, who is currently writing The Amazing Spider-Man. However, I don't read The Amazing Spider-Man, so I wouldn't know that. And anyway, they go back and forth, and she says how she doesn't trust the elevator. She had a lover stolen by one. He feels sympathetic, and then she says, oh, I'm just kidding. And anyway, she asked him to do a favor. If he could check in on someone down the hall from him, and to bring the neighbor apples. And so he does. And it's a very attractive young lady, but he can tell that she's terrified. And I love this. I have apples. And this is just a really awkward first conversation between Peter and this lady. And she says that she doesn't think Spider-Man can help her, and he's like, ouch. Critical hit right through my ego. Does he know better heroes? And she says, he says, you can go to the police. And she says, no, can't. And I'm really not sure who she's talking about, but I have an idea. So anyway, he gave the apples. and I think he kind of made a friend in the process. And then he runs into these two. That's Gracie and maybe those are the two vets that he was talking about earlier. Because they're having lunch over a hot dog vendor. Now, just to mention the artwork, it's nothing grand, but it's simple. It's not complicated. I like that. And the dialogue is simple too. And he feels that something is wrong, so he goes back to the apartment building. And then there are people there in her apartment building. And one of them says, Lena, which is her name. I'm not sure if I can pronounce it right. Leilani. And he says, who is this? This is a hot dog delivery. And then his spidey sense goes off, and he tries to dodge the punch, but it doesn't work. He's out for a while, and then he comes to. And they literally made their own door to escape, apparently. Which is quite strange. And the place is just a mess. Look at that. You know, it's a total wreck. Now, for me, as someone who is getting back into reading Spider-Man, I'm a little bit confused at some of this, but you know, that comes with the territory. And then we find out he has a roommate or two, and one of them is a dude who just likes to sit around in his underwear, and apparently that's not even his underwear, it's Peter's. And he says, why are you wearing my underpants? And the dude says, it's January. It's one of my wash months. I wash all my underwear after the third rotation. But Pete, seriously, are these custom or something? You have to tell me where you get them. I've never moved so freely in anything. And then he tells him to keep them. And it was on the previous page. And he says that the woman down the hall came by and left her laundry for Peter to do. And he's hearing this while he's putting on his suit. So there's the laundry basket. And he thinks, what? Did the clothes just move? And then out pops a surprise. Now, I remember the previous Captain Marvel run, which had its moments, you know, good and bad. But these two sort of look like the Hala child from that run, although not quite. To the fear of sudden responsibility. He's like, oh man, apples? So, this is sort of a light-hearted story with some serious moments mixed in. I enjoyed it. I really have no complaints about it whatsoever. I hope you enjoyed it, because I did. And maybe you'll want to go down to your local comic shop and get this issue, or the trade paperback. I am looking forward to the next issue, to reading the next issue, and I will be doing a review of that when I get around to it. So I thank you for stopping by. I thank everyone who's subscribed to my channel recently and who's been leaving comments. I really do appreciate that. Thank you ever so much. And until next time, true readers, I am Michael for Spirit Comics.